Welcome. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the upstream marketing subgroup under contributor experience. We say it regularly, but it's always worth repeating. We're under the code of conduct of the CNCF, TLDR, be excellent to each other. Hope everyone's doing well. I think we've all, from side catch-ups with some, it's been a busy week for everybody for very different reasons. If you could add your name to our Google Doc, and if you want to say how you're doing, what you've been up to, always happy to hear it. For me, as soon as this ends, I go into home ownership mode. We're closing on a house in like 4 hours, doing the final walkthrough as soon as this finishes. So pretty thrilled and happily overwhelmed. But yeah, how about anybody else? What's going on?
I'm excited about the weekend. It's been a busy week.
I am excited about spring, and I have a Honda Element, which is a beloved device that I own. And this is the year that I'm going to totally kit it out as this ridiculous car camping like device. I'm pretty excited
Love
about
it. It's a
Yeah.
great goal, Joel.
Yeah.
Also, the Pacific Northwest at the beginning of whatever resembles spring and not the gray winter sounds exceptional.
Yeah, it's good.
Cool.
Also, my mother's
Yeah.
getting her first vaccination tomorrow, which is just like
Such a dream. Yeah, my mom just got her second this week too. So we're actually planning her birthday now. Like we'll be able to see her on her birthday. It's a brave new world in the best of ways. Cool. All right. Well, it doesn't look like Bob will be able to make it this morning, but he does have a topic he asked us to jump into. That's totally fine. Know where to pick it up from there. Any
He said
big
he was
wins?
out walking the dog, so he said he'd be here in a bit.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I know that dog, like most of our pets, demands things at inconvenient times. They win every time. But any big wins for team members? Anything you noticed that was cool in the Kubernetes community that we should highlight? Nothing stands out. No worries. Okay. So,
We reached the 100,000 issues and PRs this week, didn't we?
we
Or
did.
not 100,000.
Yeah,
Was it
100,000
Okay.
issues and pull requests. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. What an absurd number to hit, and just absolutely cool to see. Yeah, I happen to be online when that happened and sent a tweet out for us. I'll link it here if people want to see it. Oh wow, I got 112 retweets. Our social media is not terrible. Like we may be small in followers, but we've got a lot of people that will jump in and get it moving. That's really cool. I intended to make that an emoji at the end, but I tweeted it anyway. It started getting retweets, and Bob said it's actually really funny without the emoji and just with the GitHub type syntax for an emoji. I normally have a
That's a good
substitutor
point.
on my command line or like on my prompt, and it must have turned off. So, accidental humor is the best.
It's all good. We have a great community too, so.
Yeah, that goes a long way. Cool. Yeah, it's super fun. I thought we were hitting 100,000 GitHub stars, which is, these are what I belovingly call vanity metrics, and I'm sure we all have lived through them. But in a nutshell, like it'd be remiss not to say that vanity metrics are also great times to just celebrate. And I think being good marketers in a community is just finding excuses to celebrate people. So this is yet another reason to celebrate people. If you see others, bring them up. We want to be, we want to be the people championing celebration and being the subtle reminder that like being in the Kubernetes community is about having fun together. Like a lot of us, some of us get to do it for their jobs. A lot of us are doing it volunteer for fun on the side. So we got to keep that energy up, not just the please review this pull request and answer all these kept questions. Cool. All right. Moving right along. The big thing on people's minds was on Bob's mind. He asked us to dedicate some time to it. Was to focus on the contributor survey. So far, we've gotten 50 responses. We've done everything right, sending it to the core channels like we should. And Bob was just wanted us to put our heads together on like what are some kind of scrum like tactics, like all of us jumping on this and taking action items to help it get even further in the coming days. We've got 9 days left on it.
I don't think we've tweeted it yet, have we? Or anything about it? I don't know that we want to tweet the link, but we might tweet like a reminder, hey, if you're a member of the
Yeah.
Kubernetes community, go check KDev, or we could put a link to the email. I don't know if we want to even go that far, but
I think
I don't know that we want randos like doing the survey, but
yeah, let's get another thought from Bob on there before we do it. But I'm pretty sure we said in these moments, like we're always happy linking to the Google group. And like most spammers won't go through the effort of going to the link and then finding a link and then filling it out. So it's a little bit more work, but a little bit of a self-selection bias that we need. Other ideas? Kanula, I think I saw you unmute. What's on your mind?
I was unmuted and you probably saw me mute.
Sorry, man. I don't mean to call you out. I just always excited for new input.
Yeah, I have some inputs, but I've saved those for the last. Yeah.
Oh no, hop right in. This now is great if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So I've been involved in the CNCF community as a contributor. So very first open source contribution I made was in my freshman year. It was this Kubernetes Java client. And back then I was like, okay, this is really overwhelming because I just knew Java. But that's when the community came in. They were like, you can learn Docker, you can learn K8s and then get started. So that's when I realized open source is much more than coding. And then fortunately, I got to attend KubeCon last year in San Diego. Met a lot of nice people there. I met so many people. I met Dims over there. That was great.
Nice.
And Nabarun and everyone. So yeah, that was fun. And recently I contributed to Thanos as a CNCF intern. And regarding why I joined this marketing meeting, because 6-7 months ago, I started a YouTube community and it grew quite a lot, almost 50,000 subs. And
Wow.
in the student community that we have 5,000 volunteers and people from various parts of the country and some other countries as well. This year, my community, it's also going to be participating in Google Summer of Code under Red Hat. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, regarding why I joined this meeting, because I really wanted to help out. And I was watching Nikita's talk and she mentioned something about that we can also help out in the community aspect of K8s and CNCF. So I believe regarding the reach and everything that I have and for example, let me just share something with you.
Please.
This is on my channel, I do some podcasts and stuff. So I had a few ideas regarding this. For starters, I was planning on doing a Kubernetes week. So I was planning on doing a series of tutorials over there. And I've had a few people there's this thing I'm starting, which is a 4-week long webinar series, which is called Spring of Code. So the idea is to get project maintainers onto the channel, talk about, what their project is like, what are the prerequisites, and just a little bit of demo and how they can contribute. So far we have Prometheus and Thanos and Julia language, Open Policy Agent and Red Hat, and so many organizations have already scheduled webinars. So really looking forward to that. But regarding long-term goals, I was really hoping to do some nice community work. So I was just here to get some nice suggestions. I saw Bob sent a document which is called Contributor Experience Sub-Projects and Initiatives Prioritization. Over there, I can see something related to that could use some management help or workshops and stuff. I see Google Summer of Code, Season of Docs, Outreachy, and maintainer meetings and all these things. So yeah, I was just looking forward to contributing in these terms. Happy to help. Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you so much for the background and perspective. I love the Code for Cause. Is that the YouTube channel that you co-built?
Yeah. I have a collab with Bart as well next Friday, I believe. Bart. Yeah. Nice.
Great. Yeah, we'll keep that in mind and see how we can collaborate on this. Good. All right. So, Bob, welcome. We're just getting into like what are some new ideas to get involved, get the contributor survey message out a bit further. Rajula, could you tag in and just talk about your experience so far managing this?
Yeah, so far I've only emailed the KDEP. So I was actually planning to email all the 6 and also the other mailing list I found on a GitHub repo. And then I was supposed to make tweets, create pull requests, which haven't. I'll try to do it probably in the weekend using the past year data. Probably if any of you can actually pitch and just use the past year data and then make some tweets. And then Slackbot, I'm not sure. So, but yeah, we can probably use the Slackbot probably next week and then start just pushing comms to every channel.
Cool. Okay. So heard, yeah, we can tag in on some Twitter support in the short term. Love, given the importance here, like maybe we can bookmark at least the second half of this meeting to just copy and working together on that. Slackbot wise, just wanted to gauge before we send a message through a tool people aren't familiar with, is there some like kind of preemptive notification we should send leads so they don't get upset? I mean, I would be a little jarred if I saw the same message in 50 channels.
You can send a message out to the leads mailing list if you do want to send something out. It could also be bundled with a separate, notification regarding the survey to the leads mailing list. So if you wanted to even if it's pretty much like the same message, but just slightly tweaked with a little like FYI, we'll be sending a message from the spot in all these channels or something like that in there, and that like next week or something, just a few days heads up or something should be fine.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I love that because you just said there's an excuse to reach out to people too, like, submarine it, if you will. The message underneath. What were you saying, Rajula?
So there is a mailing list for the SIG leads, right? So probably when I'm just mailing the contributor survey, I can also put this thing saying probably we'll send notifications to the bot sometime next week. Okay.
Well, I wanted to see, what do you think of us kind of featuring making the Slack bot like the main point and saying like we're going to send this message out as a reminder? I just wanted to flip that focus because I know people are busy and I don't want them to miss that we're about to spam them in a very healthy way across all these channels. So if we can inverse it being like, hey, we've got this new tool, we think this is the right time to test it. If you have any concerns, please message us. But if we don't hear a hard no, we're going to do this on X day.
So one other thing you could do too with that message is be like, we want to trial this for future things like release deadlines and other things like that, so that you have more than one sort of reason for notifying them that, hey, we have this capability. We're going to use it as this is like our first, dry run with it, but there's opportunities to use it in the future for when you have to do mass communication to the groups. Like, I think this is a great tool for the release team when things like code freeze come around and all that sort of stuff.
Great. Do we have a good place for if people have questions about it? I've kind of lost track of the thread on how we got to this. I maybe want to point them towards a GitHub issue if we need to continue the conversation.
I think there was the old one regarding, was it the multi-channel communication issue?
I wonder.
The other option might be just to, follow up in the whatever email thread that comes out of it.
Word. Yeah.
Can we use a Slack infra repo? That's where we have the bot as well.
Yeah, if you want to do like a feedback issue, or something like that there for now.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, if you want to draft that up, Rajula, I think, let's kind of socialize it in this group of people so that we get the message really right. I'm just realizing like the leads are a big audience that we want to make sure they feel included in the use of something new. I'm trying to preempt as many questions without being overwhelming so that your inbox doesn't explode with 50 people who are like, what's going on? And with completely reasonable questions.
So just to reiterate, so we're going to highlight the bot and then also tell that we're going to push the survey using this next week, right?
Correct. Exactly.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. We have the tweets repo. Oh, Bob, we had a question for you. If we want to tweet about the survey, we all agree it's not a good idea to send the survey link out directly. Would you think it's reasonable to send a link to the Google group thread on it?
Yes.
Cool.
For, just like, for details about the annual contributor survey, see this.
Great. Yeah, we just want to make sure we weren't sending spammers down too easy of a path, but that sounded about right.
Yeah.
And then we were saying tweets about last year's survey results. Does anyone have questions or interest in kind of leading the survey result tweets?
I've discussed wanting to do a project like that before, and it's been on my list for entirely too long. So I definitely want to, but also I'm super tired from this week. So I don't know that today is a good day for me to get on that. Maybe next week.
Fair.
I can help, but I'm really not sure like how to.
Yes.
Yeah.
A good opportunity to learn. We can teach you about using the repo and stuff. You can help us
Yeah, that'd
craft
be
some
great.
tweets maybe.
Okay, Kaslin, could you mentor Kanula through this?
Happy to do this.
Cool. Other ideas? Joel, Bart, like when you think about getting this survey out further in our community, anything come to mind that based on what you've seen?
Just curious, in previous editions of launching this kind of survey, what are things that have worked and what are things that maybe haven't worked so well?
Great question.
I can answer that, but 1 second, my headset battery is about to die.
It's all good. It's all
I
good.
think Bob's also the only one with a full year plus history.
No, also I know
There we go.
surveys can be tough in general because it's like, what's in it for me? Like, do you give a prize for who gets it done faster? Or, hey, you promise people it's only going to take 5 minutes. I think people are aware that, that surveys do generate value, but say, because of the surveys that we did last year, we were able to implement these new kinds of actions. So that's why when we get your feedback, there will be follow up and we will be listening to you. Anyway, Bob, go for it.
So, yeah. So our audience is specifically the Kubernetes contributors. We had a problem last year where it got tweeted out by the main Kubernetes.io account, which wound up causing like just a whole slew of people filling out the survey. But essentially, because they had never engaged with the project, we had to spend a while basically teasing out the data that was not worth it. So, like when it comes to scoping it, we are we definitely don't want this tweeted out directly by like the main Kubernetes.io account. Case contributors, tweeting a link, fine. The thing that actually got the most reach last year was the mailing of all the individual SIG mailing lists and the poking in Slack. So I think that's where we're going to see the big, one of the tech leads for ContribEx, Christoph, basically just like joined every mailing list, sent the message out, and then like I think a dozen of us basically split, not a dozen, probably like 4 of us just jumping into like every SIG channel and just dropping a message in there.
my input is that I think you guys have already have great ideas or knowledge of which channels are going to work. You kind of think about that marketing multi-touch thing, and how long do we have until it closes at this point?
The
9
21st
days?
is when we
The 21st. Great. So I would like, my recommendation is on the content side, which is that today you'd be like, we have 50, our goal is 200. A few days from now, say we have, we're doing great, we have 100, et cetera, and kind of make people feel like they're participating in that growth so that you can have them. But the real internal reason for that is to have multiple touches so that people are reminded more than once about it.
Oh, that's so brilliant. I
If you-
completely forgot about that tactic. Yeah, let people in on the KPI and they'll want to game it with us.
The other thing, if you want one of the like sort of what you had mentioned, Bart, these help drive the priorities of SIG contributor experience. And so one of the things we did is we shifted, like, documentation has always been number one, and so we've made a big effort in improving the various documentation sources. We have the developer guide audit undergoing right now. We launched the contributor website to make information more discoverable, and we want to publish more stuff there. Sorry, but that would be like one of the bigger sort of follow-up items that came out of previous surveys.
No, it sounds great. Yeah, just to show that like these are the tangible results that because of your feedback, this is what came to fruition. Maybe as well too, in order, because like you're mentioning the data quality issue, but I understand is that from doing it through the mailing list or going directly into the SIGs and doing it that way. But just, I don't know, some kind of a disclaimer as a reminder, like this isn't for anybody who's ever come into contact with Kubernetes. We're talking specifically about contributors and what do we mean by contributor? I don't know, just to make it ultra clear.
Yeah, I think we should be okay with our comms channels if it was being tweeted out, like, because there is a preamble on the survey as well, like that sort of gives that brief description of what it is and what we want to get out of it. If we were trying to, like, the main Kubernetes.io account or something like that, trying to potentially reach a much wider audience, or like get the stranglers that aren't seeing any of the other channels, that's when I'd probably attach it like preamble on the tweet somehow or something like that.
It's good. It sounds like we've got the right checks throughout the process, so we have some flexibility in the messaging. That's cool. That's great. Where I mean, if it's just in your brain, that's totally okay. But where's like a good summary of what you were just saying, Bob? Of like, people responded that documentation was their number one thing, and we did all this work on documentation.
I don't have a outline of the results of what came from it, but we do have the survey data. One sec, I will drop a link.
Pivoting, if you just want to write down like the story you tell yourself, like in a bullet in here, I think we can massage it into a really meaningful tweet or two, because that's a powerful message. And if it's in your head, I believe it. That's the risk I'm willing to take today.
I just dropped a link.
Cool, thank you. Oh yeah, that's a great reference. Okay, so kind of putting the project manager hat on. Got a lot of good ideas floating around. Just want to make sure we have clear owners of who's doing what next. We've got Slackbot, draft of outreach to leads, and then ultimately the message we're going to send on there. Rajula, you're on point for that. And when would you want me to bug you if you don't have it done by?
I'm just going to make the draft after this meeting and just post
Cool.
it in the ContribEx and tag you all.
Okay, so by Monday. Cool, awesome. And the tweets about last year's survey results, sounds like Kazan and Kunal can work on that. So I'm sure you two will tag in. I'm happy to, I'll use I'll either use the Twitter bot to draft some, or just tweet directly since I have access if I'm going to embed an image. based on what Bart and Joel recommended. I think the metric ones in particular are just brilliant. So we should hop on that. I'll draft a couple of those up, and I'll either link to people or just Kazlan, I'll schedule them so you can see them since we share that account. Thank you all for jumping in. This is really cool. And okay, Matt, you take this into Twitter account. My due date is Monday for that as well. Okay, so we'll have a full week ahead of time and be able to message each day. What's up?
There's also one other thing, mailing all the SIGs and the working groups. So I'm just gonna forward the mail I sent to KDev, just add more stuff and then forward it again. But I just wanted to ask, so to send an email to all the SIG groups, do I have to be a part of that group?
Most of them will probably have it configured so you do.
Okay.
The way we did this last year, well, Christoph did this last year is not actually like, he literally just pulled up all the Google Groups list, joined, sent an email, left, joined, send email, like posting message through the thing.
Yeah,
not
probably I'll just do that.
Not great.
Alternatively, we no guarantee that it'll work, but maybe the first strike would be you send a message to the leads and ask them to send one to their specific thing. Do more of the Ponzi scheme version where they're responsible for their. I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Actually, that might be a good idea, because it could also be something to bring up in their, like, ask them to at least mention it during their regular meetings.
That would be a really powerful message if we can say, like, hey, we need you to bring this up in your next meeting, or this whatever meeting is this week. If you don't have a meeting, send it to the mailing list. Yeah, this email is getting more complex, but we'll figure it out. Yeah. As much as I know you're willing to go through 50 mailing lists and sign up, I would prefer you don't have to, Rajula.
So for the tweets, are we gonna schedule them like once or twice every day? So it's this thing gonna happen?
So I'm gonna plan one a day for starting Monday through to the 21st. And Bob, I'm gonna keep DMing you regularly about where we're at, so I can throw a number in there, and probably just stick with that sort of vibe is what I'm committing to. But other ideas are welcome. This is a shared account for sure. And then we'll layer on what Kazlan is leading as well. And if anyone else has ideas, we always have the GitHub repo you can message. You can add a message to, or if you don't want to work on your Git food, that's totally okay. Just DM or add us in the ContribEx channel, and we can schedule that. That always works well too.
I created a role guide for the Twitter like sub thing within our repo, since we have the role guides about using Twitter, and I don't think I've finished getting it PR'd in yet. I think it needed something, and then I got really busy with events and stuff and didn't get it finished, but I'll try to get that done at least today.
Cool. It's a great goal. All right. Yeah, thanks. That was important focus. It's on a deadline and it's going forward nicely. Gonna cruise right into articles. First up, anyone have article ideas or things on their mind about articles that they want to talk through before we go into past ones? Nope. Okay.
I have an idea for one.
Yeah, throw it out there.
We just crossed the 100K mark. I actually believe we are the first GitHub project to do that. So a blog post that might just be a sort of like Kubernetes by the numbers, or just like a little a short history of Kubernetes or something like that might be good. It's not necessarily a requirement or anything like that, but it was an idea I had like earlier this week.
Yeah, that's what this space is for. Like, let's get some good ideas going. If people are inspired, pick it up, and there's no there's no obligation. That's the word that it evaded my mind for a minute. Yeah, what do people think about that? That we're the first project to ever hit 100K, even with all these massive JavaScript projects.
I am pretty sure I checked against Node directly, and we have we are much further along than Node.
Wow, that's really impressive. Just when you think about the quantity of participation, you could use some dev stats.
Yeah, I can also reach out to GitHub and confirm some of the stuff. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go for it.
Yeah, Bob, why don't you just double check that fact, because I feel like that'd be the cornerstone kind of excuse for the article. But
I love the idea of writing it. I'd love to ask about timelines. How long would we have that this would still be a valid article? Like, do we need to get it out in 7 days or a month? Like, I know that delivery is a challenge for us.
I think honestly, before the end of this release, so that should be 3 weeks from now.
I could work on that. I would learn a thing.
I think a lot of our stuff, we when we think of the project, we think of it like in release cycles, essentially.
Yeah.
So
that's great. Okay, I'll add that in. And
April 8th is when we're slated.
Great. April 1st is worth avoiding. April 8th sounds great.
Cool.
Good. And I started adding, I realized it was implied but never written. Just putting like publication targets so we're all on the same page. I think we have some big ideas that will hang out there for many months because they're not urgent. And so I've had one in my head this whole time around the contributor stories that they're not supposed to come out until April, but none of you all knew that. We've talked about it for a month. So you're like, probably like, why weren't these published yet? But I was hoping it'd be like a lead up to an advertisement for KubeCon EU, because we're talking about these contributor stories, and I hope by that time we'll have the infrastructure together to say like, here's some examples, here's what we recommend, here's some ideas, here's how you can submit your contributor story if you're a contributor. Make it really smooth and, again, not code based, so that people in the broader audience that we care about in the contributors space can talk about how they contribute and show up at conferences and tweet about us and the whole shebang.
I like that, and I have a question about that. Would
Please.
it be worth exploring with telling some of these stories, not only in, let's say, blog format, but maybe like 1-minute videos, just using photos and a voiceover?
I mean, multimedia is brilliant. Absolutely. I think it's far outside my skill set. Yeah. What were you thinking?
It's nothing. It's something that I've done for other projects, and because I work with friends that make video. I mean, I can't do 100 of these, but if we had like 5 or 6 that we want to, it's mostly the tricky part is just what's the story that we have to tell. Getting a text. We start with a problem, or we start with a person and how they got to this point, and the end result, and then of course, trying to encourage other people to do the same thing, saying, if you've got a story that you want to tell us, reach out and let us know. I mean, eventually we could kind of set up a backlog. Like I said, the unfortunate thing is having to maybe be a bit selective about some that might be better in blog format and other ones that, visually speaking, or with more of a standout story that's saying like, hey, let's take this and we can turn it into like, and it doesn't need to be longer than a minute. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's any reason to make it longer. And then for LinkedIn, for Twitter, for things like that, it's quite catchy.
Oh yeah.
That could be a great like segment of a sizzle reel or an opening video for the contributor new contributor workshop effort.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Hey,
So the thing is, if somebody gets me this, it's just getting the stories. Like, how are we going to organize this? What are the basic elements that we want to have? We can even always use like a similar structure of like the person, the problem, the challenge, the whatever. How do we find the solution, the final result? And you can do the same thing if you want to contribute. This is how you can do it. And getting different angles. Sorry.
No, sorry. Have you talked with Dan Pop by chance?
I have, but not about this.
Okay,
cool.
But yeah, we've been in touch about other stuff related to hip hop and podcasts and things like that.
Okay, because he essentially has taken over like hosting our office hours. So
oh wow,
that sort of thing is also right up his alley. So like he might be another good person to like team up with, or sync. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, I just want to add on tag in Kunal. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I had this idea for like quite some time, and the thing is, like, I was planning on doing this series, like a weekend series sort of thing. So like currently what I'm doing is just getting like project, because my channel is basically focused around students, right? Who are actively like, who want to contribute to open source, want to learn more about it. So basically right now what we're doing is like weekend series sort of thing. Basically what I was thinking was, for example, weekend of monitoring. So we can get someone from Thanos, Prometheus, conduct like a workshop on how students can contribute to it and stuff. So like I mentioned, I have a few webinars already scheduled, like OPA and stuff, but making it in more organized way, like a weekend webinar sort of thing. And like regarding what Bart mentioned, like where people can come and share their experiences. So it can be like project maintainers or like someone who is really experienced, or like even students, if they want to share how they started contributing in general, like more in a more organized way. So recently I also reached out to like Kelsey, and we are going to do like I was sending an invite on the topic was how to be a good software engineer. So I'm in the process of scheduling that, so looking forward to that. But yeah, I believe like and regarding Pop, I saw his channel as well, doing some amazing work. There's Sanyam, he's a CNCF ambassador. He's also doing like something related to that. What he's doing is on his channel, he's doing like short clips introducing CNCF projects. So recently, like made a 2-minute video on Thanos, like 2-minute video on Longhorn, 2-minute video on K8s. So that's what he's doing on his channel. And I see so many people are doing YouTube, encouraging all these content for CNCF on YouTube. So yeah, that is the thing that I had in mind as well. Maybe we can do a giant collab or something, something like that. Yeah, but definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there are going to be there's so much interest in so many channels, like, and that's encouraged. Repetition is no problem as long as people are seeing it. Like the world is wonderful. I just wanted to double check, Kunal, did you want to be involved in Bart's like particular project here, where he's thinking about taking some contributor stories and segmenting them into 1-minute reels? Or were you just saying there's opportunity to collaborate on video, big picture? Just want to make sure I'm following.
Yeah, I heard streaming, and I was like, I can help with this. Last KubeCon, Bartek and the Prometheus maintainers also reached out to me. They were like, they were planning on doing this podcast sort of a thing at KubeCon. So I was sort of like led that particular talk. Here's the particular link. So you can see this was at last like KubeCon. And we were talking about like this was like a most podcast sort of theme. So yeah, regarding that, if there's anything I can help in terms of like video content or something, I would be more than happy to do that. And I can also help in like the marketing stuff, because I have quite some reach in the YouTube community. So it's like around like I mentioned, like it has grown quite a lot over the few months. So I can help out with that as well, like getting more people involved in like basically sharing about it and all these things.
Good. Yeah. That's wonderful. Thank you. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I was putting the dots together here. So going back to the first part of the thread, Bart, like I do think like being that specific tactical outcome of like grab a few interesting stories, but also diverse stories, like not
oh, for sure,
different angles, different people, different styles,
different places. You get to travel to other parts of the world, like it's super fun, and then soundtracking it as well will be really fun. So yeah.
Neat. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll just follow your lead on that. I think we're cruising along on the stories. We've got Chris, Piyush, myself. We're definitely missing a outside of this group kind of capacity here, which I think would be really advantageous for, launching something meaningful video wise. But maybe like summing up a video worthy kind of story might help somebody get their story down. Um,
I mentioned last week I was going to ask someone outside of our group, and this week has been crazy, so I haven't, but that's still on my mind. So we should totally do that.
Yeah. So if anyone stands out to you, anyone, if they're putting a story together, let's keep this percolating. That's a really cool plan. And I think it folds into that same project that we're working on with this big contributor stories push.
Bart, yeah, you can reach out to me as well. I'd love to help out.
For sure.
Yeah. Keep exploring for 1 minute videos. Cool. All right. Any other thoughts on this before we keep cruising? Okay, great. The Michelle interview, I see Joel said he reviewed.
Joel did and left some really good comments. So I was putting the changes in today. In terms of the next steps, like because now I hope I got all the stuff that Joel mentioned in there. Who do I send it to? Where does it go?
Yeah, this is where we hit the abyss, which is my nice way of saying like our current existing process of on a scale from 1 to I won't touch that. How are you with Git and pull requests?
Horrendous, but it would be probably a good time to learn.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're more than happy to mentor you through that. But like the next process, once you have a draft that you like, is to convert it to Markdown and open a pull request into the Git repository for the website. But there is some really annoying nuance. I like you too much to make you fumble through. So why don't we set up some time to pair on it, and we can work right through that. Let's DM on the community Slack, and we'll just get that first step going smoothly, and then comments will come in. We'll work on integrating them. But yeah, I think pairing on that would be way less painful. Cool. Love it. Thank you, Joel, for the review. So appreciative for your contribution here.
Yeah, it's a really fun article. I think it'll have some legs.
Good. Oh, and I guess I should check. Bob, do you think this is one? It's really, yeah, it's the interview that Paris recommended we do. Does it fit into the .dev format that we're going for on contributor stories, or should we stick to the .io, the homepage type vibe?
We can essentially the majority of stuff we can post to Keats.dev in terms of the stories, we can like cross post.
True.
As long as we just have to put that little header in there.
Yeah, and sorry, I lost track of that. Did we get that code syntax to make sure we don't blow up SEO?
Yes. And I can find a different example and send to you again.
And for others here, just to get the word out, like there's some SEO best practices for cross posting onto multiple domains to avoid any sort of Google thinking it's an unwarranted copy as opposed to an approved copy, and then it'll deprecate or it'll drop your rankings effectively. So for search engine optimization, there's some magic, and that magic is in our Hugo setup. And Bob's looking for the code snippet effectively that will make sure Hugo knows we're doing this right. So Google knows. Anyway, a lot of things knowing each other.
I'm just looking up again.
Yeah, you're good. Okay, well, we'll get that. And I think that's like good knowledge for this whole group to have so that we can get the most visibility cross-posted on our sites. Helpgrow.dev. Good. We're actually just a few minutes out from the top of the hour. So instead of going through the rest line by line, anything on people's minds that's of priority that we haven't discussed yet that you want to save some time to? All right. Well, if there's an article idea that's coming along from Jason, he's not here at the moment, no problem. There's a future conversation on shifting to async for contributor communication. No updates there, and that's a-okay. We got this new idea posted. And then I added to the new items this 1-minute video series and other video skills on the team. We should all kind of reflect on how we can really tag people in. Maybe that's the question to end on, in my opinion, is Kunal, like you do have an amazing channel here, and we want to make it easy for you to find stuff to amplify. So maybe can you tell us, like, where are you looking right now, so that we make sure like those are aligned?
Yeah, so basically I'm currently just, there are two aspects to the future plans that I had. First one was the technical series sort of thing. So I was planning on doing like a weekend series on like K8s, weekend series on Docker, and then like a weekend series on like system design, distributed systems, those sorts of things. And the second one is regarding getting more people involved in the community, because from the way I see it, students don't really know that, they see these big projects like K8s and stuff, and they're like very open, right, to contribute. But we do realize that the K8s is a really welcoming community even for beginners. So I would be able to provide more information on that next week, because I have a few webinars regarding this scheduled with
Great.
some CNCF project maintainers like OPA. So I will see how like the audience looks at it. The agenda of the webinar is somewhat like the introduction and about the organization projects, the tech stack used, a demo, and how beginners can get started with contributing. So regarding this, I was thinking of, well, this is a bit of a stretch, but I was thinking on doing this with the projects of CNCF, like every project. I don't know if that's doable.
Godspeed, sir.
Yeah, but that was the plan. Yeah, that was a plan. I was planning on doing it like I think like a CNCF month sort of thing. Not every project, but maybe like every graduated project, let's say, or active projects who are looking for contributors somewhat, let's say. So yeah, that is the idea that I had, like basically a much more organized program sort of thing, like just a series of webinars, and does not have to be on like YouTube or anything. If maybe we can do it on like, there was Air Meet thing that we did at KubeCon, like
Sure.
for networking.
Okay, cool. And yeah, so just keep an eye on if you keep looking at the Kubernetes dev mailing list, that will be like the stream of the latest news from the community. That's the official channel. Yep. So yeah, just keep us posted on how things are reaching, and your feedback's very welcome. So thank you for being here. And thank you everybody else. Happy Friday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend wherever you are in the world. I'm gonna stop the recording, but we can hang out for a few